The hunt begins. The jungle of Zalos 3, breathed with danger in every leaf. Every shadow moved with purpose, and every sound echoed with warning. It was a planet marked forbidden on most star maps, but still the Torvani command sent a squad here. Under special orders, the target was not a rebel base or a hidden weapon factory. It was a living creature. The Varnuk stories about the Varnuk spread across the galaxy like wildfire. It was called many names: the Deathhound, the Void Beast, the Silent. But no one ever called it a friend. It was a hunter by nature, bigger than 2 armored carriers. Its muscles rippled under dark skin. Its eyes glowed like twin moons, and its jaws held the power to crush star metal. It attacked without warning, destroyed without mercy, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. 12 missions, 12 failures, over 40 confirmed dead. Yet here was Squad 42 stepping out of the dropship and into the green fog of Zalos 3, led by Kara, the Decorated warrior of the Torvani Order. Her armor gleamed with black and silver, her grip on the pulse rifle steady, her eyes alert and cold. She gave the signal. The squad moved like shadows over moss-covered rocks, through giant roots, and under towering trees. There were no birds here, no insects, no sign of normal wildlife, only silence. Silence so thick it pressed on their helmets like invisible hands. One of the scouts raised a hand and crouched. He pointed to claw marks on a thick tree trunk, long deep. Fresh. Kara examined them. She measured the width with her visor lens, then spoke to her second in command. "The creature is close. We move slow, no mistakes." They pressed deeper. And then they saw something impossible. Across a small clearing where the trees parted under a purple sky stood a mana human. No armor, no weapon, no helmet. He wore torn clothes. Dirt covered his hands and face, but his posture was calm. His right hand rested gently on the shoulder of something much larger than him. It was the Varnuk beast. Stood beside him like a stone guardian, its breathing slow, its eyes half closed like it was resting. Kara felt her own breath catch. She had seen the Varnuk tear through military outposts, but now it stood there quiet, unmoving. Beside a human who should have been eaten days ago. The squad froze. Not a single finger touched a trigger. No one dared to speak. The man slowly turned his head. His eyes scanned the bushes and trees until they met Kara's visor. He raised his other hand in a slow wave, not a warning, not a threat, just a wave like greeting a neighbor. Kara stepped forward from cover. She held no weapon in her hands. She approached with care, not breaking eye contact with the man, nor with the creature beside him. Her squad remained hidden but alert, ready to strike if the beast moved wrong. She stopped 10 steps away, her voice steady yet low. "What is this?" The man tilted his head. He seemed confused by the question, or maybe he was thinking how to answer. He then looked at the Varnuk and smiled. "She helped me survive," he said. Simply. Kara's mind screamed at her to reject the words. This thing did not help anyone survive. It made sure others never did. It was the very reason this planet was off limits. "You are not afraid of it?" she asked. The man shook his head. "I was at first. I thought it would kill me, like it killed the last crew, but it didn't. It watched me, it followed me. Then one day it brought me food." Kara narrowed her eyes. Her armor recorded everything. She was going to need proof when she returned to command. "You claim this beast saved you and feeds you?" she asked again, trying to find a crack in his calm words. "It did more than that," he answered. "When I broke my leg, it stayed by my side. It kept other predators away. It even dragged me to a safe cave before the storm started." The Varnuk shifted its weight. Its eyes opened and looked at Kara. Her body tensed. Every muscle in her frame was ready to leap or roll or dive for cover, but the beast only blinked, then lowered its head. "It's not what you think," the man said again. "It's not a monster. It's misunderstood." Kara could not speak for a moment. Everything about her training, every report, every mission file told her this was wrong. This creature was death, and yet it stood there like a loyal companion beside this human. She tapped her helmet, quietly activating a private channel. She ordered her team to stay back and keep watch, but not to fire unless directly attacked. Then she turned back to the man. "Tell me your name." "Eli, and the creature has a name too?" she asked, not knowing why she did he call her. "Shade," he answered. Shade breathed out slowly. The sound was like wind blowing through a canyon. Soft yet endless. Kara took one step closer. The Varnok now shade remained still. In all her missions, she had never seen anything like this. A human alone on a death world, not only surviving but thriving beside the most feared predator in this sector. It made no sense, but it was real, and that made it dangerous in ways even she could not explain. Kara stared at the man again, at Eli. His eyes held no fear, no trick, no madness. Only a calm strength. She knew this was going to change everything. The human called Eli Kara stayed still, watching every move the human made, the way he stood beside the Varnok, the way he spoke, the calm in his eyes. None of it fit with anything she had learned about humans or monsters or survival. The jungle around them remained quiet, as if it too was waiting to see what would happen next. Eli did not speak again. He simply turned and walked away into the thick green undergrowth, and to Kara's shock, the Varnok followed him like a loyal hound, not a wild killer. She raised her hand and signaled her team to remain hidden. She followed him alone, moving with care, keeping her distance, but staying close enough to observe. He did not act like a man lost or afraid. He stepped around roots, ducked under branches, avoided danger with the ease of someone who had lived here a long time. Kara's scanner confirmed it. The biosigns showed his body had adapted to local conditions. His skin carried marks from cuts and burns, but he was strong, healthy, even fast for someone without armor or tech. She saw them reach a small clearing where a pool of clear water reflected the tall trees above. Eli knelt by the water, washed his face, and took a drink. The Varnok lay down beside him with a long exhale. Its head rested on its paws like a resting dog. Kara took slow steps forward, her boots soft on the moss. Her weapon stayed on her back. She did not want to break the strange piece hanging in the air. "Long have you been here?" she asked quietly. Eli looked up, shrugged, then answered, "Maybe 5 or 6 months. Hard to tell. Days and nights blend here." Kara stepped closer, keeping her eyes on the Varnok. It glanced at her but made no move, just watched with steady yellow eyes. "You were on a transport?" she asked. "Research ship," he replied. "We were scanning mineral fields. A storm hit, the engines failed, we crashed." She knew of the ship. The record showed it vanished, no trace left. Command listed all crew dead. No one thought to look here. "Not with the Varnok roaming. You were the only one who survived?" she asked again. "Yes. Others were taken fast in the first nights. Some ran, some screamed, some fired weapons that made it worse. But I stayed quiet, I hid, I observed. And the Varnok?" she asked, still unsure what to call the beast. "She watched me from the trees, from shadows. I knew she was there. I felt her eyes, but she never attacked. Then one morning she left meat near my shelter. I thought it was a trick, but hunger won." "You trusted her?" "Not at first," he replied. "I waited for a trap, but it never came. Every few days she returned, brought food. Then one day she let me touch her head." Kara had seen creatures bonded with sentience before. Trained animals, guard units, war beasts. But nothing matched this. This was not training or control. This was something else, something older, something pure. "You speak to her?" she asked. "No. Words, gestures, looks, tone of voice. I talk, she listens. Sometimes she growls. I stop, she growls again. I step back." It became a pattern. Kara noticed something in his voice. Something warm, not proud. Not excited, but calm and steady, as if this bond was not a miracle, but a normal part of life. "Your people will not believe you," she said. "I know. They will try to take her away, study her, control her." He nodded. "She will not allow it. She will fight." "Yes. Will you fight with Harry?" "Well." Kara looked at the Varnok again, now sleeping near the water. Her chest rose and fell with slow rhythm. Her body carried old wounds, burn marks, healed claws, missing scales. Repaired not by science, but time and care. "You named her Shade?" she said. "Yes." "Why?" "Because she moved like one. Never seen fully, always near, never far. Sometimes I thought she was the jungle itself." Kara sat on a large stone, her weapon still unused. She looked up at the sky, patches of blue between thick leaves. "You broke every law, every rule of nature. Eli, you should be dead or worse. You should not be alive on a world like this with a creature like that. And yet here you are. I did not break nature, he said quietly. I listened to it. Kara said nothing after that. Her training, her mission, her orders all told her to capture the creature, bring back samples, interrogate the human, secure the zone. But her heart felt something different. This was not a fight. This was a story not yet written. A story with meaning beyond weapons and orders. Suddenly from behind them, a loud screech echoed through the trees. Kara jumped to her feet. Ellie stood fast. The Varnock opened her eyes and growled low. Not her kind. Eli said fast. Something else. Big claws, red eyes, packs of them. They hunt during dusk. Kara raised her visor, scanned the direction of the sound. 5 signals, fast moving, not Varnock shapes, smaller, more agile. But just as deadly. They found us, she said. Yes. And they do not listen like Shade. Eli whistled twice, short bursts. The Varnock rose her body, tense her head, turning her tail, sweeping moss and leaves aside. They came through the trees, black-scaled creatures. With eyes like fire, their mouths full of long, sharp teeth. They moved as one, 5 shapes, weaving through trunks, climbing over roots. Claws ready to tear. Kara pulled her rifle, aimed, fired. One fell. The others split left and right, trying to flank. Eli grabbed a broken spear from the ground, swung it wide. Shade leapt between him and one of the beasts. Her roar shook the trees. It was not just sound. It was power. Her body slammed the attacker down, crushed it. With one swipe, Kara dropped another with a clean shot. Eli stabbed one in the eye, blood sprayed onto ferns. The last one ran, but Shade chased it down fast, her teeth closing around its neck, snapping bones. The jungle fell quiet again. Kara stood breathing hard, her rifle low. Eli wiped blood from his cheek. Shade returned to his side, her eyes now calm again. You saved me, she said. No, we protected each other, he replied. Kara looked at the 3 bodies, torn and broken. The Varnock stood tall beside the human, not as a beast, not as a pet, but as a partner. This changes everything, she said. I know, he replied. Bonds beyond species. Morning light poured through the thick canopy of Zalos. 3 The leaves shimmered with dew. The air was heavy and warm. In the small clearing near the calm pool, Eli worked with slow hands, rebuilding the frame of a broken solar panel. He moved with focus, his hands steady, even when small insects crawled over his arms. Shade, the great beast, rested nearby, her body curled like a mountain at peace. Kara stood a few steps away, her armor dusty from the jungle. Her rifle hung unused across her back. Her mind held a storm of thoughts, none of them simple. She had seen beasts before, wild ones, deadly ones, but never this one like this. Not resting, not waiting to kill, but simply being present beside a human who called her by name. Eli, you are not a soldier, she said, her voice soft but clear. No, I fix things, he answered quietly. Ship stations, power cores. I was trained for systems, not survival yet. Here you live, she said, and many trained soldiers did not fight the jungle. I learned from it. Kara sat on a thick root and watched as Eli opened a small box filled with dried fruits and wrapped meat. He placed a few pieces near Shade's side. The massive creature opened one eye, sniffed gently, then began to eat with careful movements. There's no control, she said again, more to herself than to him. No chains, no commands, no fear, only trust, he replied. She looked at him, then really looked. The scars across his forearm, the faded burns on his neck, the dirt in his nails. These were not signs of weakness. They were signs of effort, of survival, earned through pain and patience. Tell me how it started, she asked, her voice lower now, filled with something new. The first time she came close, she did not walk straight at me, he said. She moved around slow, not making sound. I was inside a wrecked pod, scared, cold, hungry. I had a flare gun ready. She circled me for hours, then left. Next day she came closer and left a small kill near the pod. I did not eat it, not right away. I thought it might be poisoned or marked, but it was fresh and I was starving. You took the offer, I did, and left a piece of my food in return, dried berries. I think not much, but it was something. Kara nodded. The story sounded like fiction, yet the truth of it breathed in front of her. Shade had finished eating and now licked her paw like a feline with sharp claws and ancient eyes. Eli stood, walked over to her, placed one hand gently on her side. Her skin rose slightly under his touch, but she did not move away. She trusted him without fear. Kara felt a strange twist in her chest. Not fear, not jealousy, something like wonder, something old and forgotten. "Have you ever seen her kill?" she asked. "Yes. But not without reason, when smaller predators attacked, or when I was injured and something tried to drag me away. She protects you, yes, but only when needed. She does not hunt for me or fight my battles. She stands near enough to matter, but far enough to let me grow." Kara looked around the clearing. Her visor displayed signs of multiple life forms, nearby none close enough to pose a threat, but present still. This planet was alive in ways few understood. She remembered the files back at base, dozens of attempts to capture a Varnook, all failed. Some ended in silence, some in screams. Some teams were never found. Only gear and torn armor left behind, and now here stood a man who fed one by hand command. "Will not understand," she said. "They will not try to understand," he replied. "They will fear her, yes, and fear makes them dangerous." Ellie nodded. He pulled a folded piece of cloth from his belt, wiped his hands, then returned to his seat on a broken log. Shade shifted closer, her tail brushing over his boots. Kara felt her communicator buzz, a soft signal from her squad, waiting for updates, watching from a distance. Their patience was running out. Soon they would report to higher command. Soon drones would arrive. "You know they will come," she said. "Yes, they will. Want to take her, to study her, break her, maybe even clone her, or worse, turn her into a weapon. She will not allow it, no, and I will not allow it either." Kara stood again. She walked slowly around the clearing, her boots pressing gently into the soil. She touched the bark of a wide tree, ran her fingers across the scars left by old claws. In all her years in the field, she had never seen anything like this. Never felt so unsure of right and wrong. Never stood between duty and something she could not. Namely, you say, she is not just a beast, not a tool, not a monster. She is more. How she feels, she learns. She gives space and takes none. She waits, listens, understands far more than we think. Kara turned to face him, her voice low. "Then why is she feared?" "Because she does not bow to force. She answers only to respect, and few know how to give it." Kara closed her eyes for a moment, breathed in the scent of jungle, the mix of earth, water, leaves, and something deeper. "What if I speak for you?" she asked. "What if I tell them the truth? They will not listen. They might if I stand beside you." Eli looked up, surprised for the first time. Kara saw his mask shift, the calm crack, just a little. "Why would you?" "Because I believe what I see. I believe what I feel. And I know fear cannot lead us forever." Shade raised her head now. Her eyes met Kara's for a moment, and in that silent space, something passed between them. No words, no threat, no demand, just a quiet look between two creatures who understood power without warthen. "We must prepare," he said. "Prepare for what?" "For the ones who follow orders, not understanding. They will not ask questions. They will not pause. They will strike fast and without warning." Kara stepped forward, placed one hand on Eli's shoulder, looked him in the eye. "I then let them come. We will show them something they have never seen before." Betrayal and revelation. Sky above Zalos 3 turned darker than usual, not because of storm clouds, but because of what floated high above. A command ship had arrived. Its shadow spread across the jungle like a giant web, ready to drop down and take what it wanted. The hum of distant engines reached the ground in waves of tension. Eli stood outside the small shelter he built. Shade rested nearby, her body quiet but alert. Her eyes kept watching the sky, then the tree line, then the sky again. Kara's communicator buzzed again. She had ignored many signals, but this one came with a warning. Her commander's voice filled her helmet, sharp and cold. "Squad leader, report status. Target confirmed. Signal acquired. Mission assets inbound. Prepare for retrieval." She did not reply. Her fingers hovered over the button, then dropped away. "You told them?" Eli said. "No. I kept it silent as long as I could," she answered. "But they tracked the earlier fight sensors in orbit, picked up bioenergy levels. They know something is here, and now they want it." Eli nodded, no anger in his face, just a calm sadness in his eyes. He knew this was coming. Shade knew too. She rose to her feet and walked slowly in circles around the shelter, ears, twitching, claws sinking. Lightly into moss, what will they do? He asked quietly. Drone's first scan tag record, second phase teams, drop with net cannons, stun rounds, cage lock. Skara paced around the clearing, her eyes scanning the trees, as if she could already see the danger coming. They do not want peace, she said. They want control. From behind the thick trees came movement, soft at first, then louder. Snap of branches, thump of boots, crackle of gear, and then the red glow of scanner beams. Skara drew her rifle but kept it pointed at the potted ground. Eli stood still, arms at his sides, not afraid, just watching. 4 soldiers entered the clearing, all in full armor, helmets, black visors, weapons ready. They raised their rifles at once. Get down, hands up. Kara stepped in front of Eli. Do not fire. Stand down, leader's voice barked out again. Step aside, squad leader. You are out of line. Mission protocol is clear. Target must be secured. Shade growled deep and low, her body tense, her eyes locked on the soldiers. She is not the enemy, Kara said again. She is intelligent, aware. She protects, she saves. She is not what you think. That is not your call, the leader replied. Target is alive. Target is exposed. Cage protocol active. Eli stepped forward. He did not speak, but his presence changed something in the air. He stood between Shade and the soldier's, arms wide, chest bare, not a threat, but a shield. One soldier fired a stun round, net launched across the air. Kara's rifle snapped up and shot it. Mid-air, net burned in blue fire, falling in pieces. Do not attack, Kara shouted again. She is not fighting you, Shade roared, now not loud, but sharp. Her voice ripped through the clearing. Birds flew, trees shook, the ground almost trembled. Second net flew, this time aimed at the smaller figure behind Shade. Her cubby screamed, no, not that one. Too late. The net wrapped around the small creature. It thrashed, cried out. Shade turned and charged faster than light, her body a blur of muscle and fury. Claws struck armor. One soldier fell back, another flew into a tree. Kara ran toward the cub, cut the net open with her combat knife, then pulled the small form to safety. Shade stopped at once, turned back to Eli, checked him with her nose, then touched her cub gently. Kara held the young beast close, her arms shaking. Not from fear, but from shock. This was not a monster. This was a mother protecting her child. One soldier tried to rise. Kara pointed her rifle at him. Stay down, no more shots, no more nets. You shoot again, and I shoot you. Eli reached down, touched the cub, helped it stand. It limped, but moved toward Shade, curled under her chest. Safe again. Silence returned for a moment. Only the heavy breaths of 5 living creatures filled the space. Then Kara spoke again, her voice clear and sharp. This mission ends. Now call off the next wave. Tell command the area is secured. No threat remains. The soldiers did not move. Did you hear me? She asked again, voice colder. They hesitated. Then one nodded, opened his wrist link, and sent a message. 3 words, zone under control. Eli walked toward Kara, stood beside her, eyes locked with hers. They will still come later, he said. Maybe not today, but one day, I know, she replied. But today we stop them, he added. Yes, today we stop them. Above them the sky stayed quiet. No dropships, no more weapons, just clouds floating slowly across a wounded sky. Kara looked at Shade again, not as a target, not as a beast, but as a protector, as a parent, as something worthy of more than fear. This truth must be told, she said, and I will help you tell it. Eli answered, not just with words, she said, but with presence, with proof, with actions they cannot deny. Then we do it together, together. The cub walked toward Kara, touched her boot with its nose, then returned to its mother. That simple act spoke louder than any speech. The jungle around them seemed to breathe again, the tension easing just a little. Birds called in the distance, leaves rustled in soft wind. Kara knew the road ahead would be hard, but now it had a direction, now it had a reason, and that reason stood beside her, made of flesh and strength, and something even deeper, trust. A new alliance. Clouds drifted across the skies of Zalos. 3 no longer hiding warships, no longer casting fear. The jungle below had returned to its quiet rhythm. Leaves swaying, wind whispering, branches holding the weight of peace, not threat. Eli stood near the edge of a high ridge. Shade beside him, the young cub close to her paws. They watched a large vessel land slowly on the flat ground below its engines low. Its lights gentle, not harsh, not aggressive. Kara stood behind Ayla, her armor now without marks of war, her helmet tucked under her arm. She had sent the message herself, not a report, not a warning, but a request, a call to the Interstellar Council. Come and see with your own eyes. And they came. A small delegation walked out of the ship, scientists, advisors, a few guards, but no weapons drawn. Their eyes looked around with caution, but not panic. Their steps moved slow, but not heavy with fear. Kara met them halfway. Eli followed behind. Shade did not move at first. Her instincts held her back, but the cub nudged her gently, and she began to walk too. The moment felt unreal to some, unreal, but important. A human, a beast, an alien warrior standing together. Not in battle, but in peace. One of the delegates, a tall elder with gray skin and bright silver eyes, stepped forward. He looked at Eli, then at the creature beside him, then finally at Kara. You claim this is not a danger? He asked. I claim this is a being of reason, Kara answered. I claim this is proof that understanding is stronger than control. Elder looked at Eli. You bonded with this creature. I survived beside her, Eli replied. I offered peace and she returned it. The elder nodded, slowly walked a little closer, then paused as Shade looked at him. Her body stayed calm, her eyes steady. She showed no sign of fear or hate or hunger. Is it true? The elder asked. Did she protect you many times? Ayla replied without pride, just truth. She protected me as I protected her. Another voice spoke from behind the group. This one belonged to a younger council member, who stepped forward with curiosity, not challenge, in her eyes. Can we come closer? She asked. Eli looked at Shade, then nodded once. Come slow, speak calm, let her hear your voice. The council members moved carefully, their hands empty, their words soft. They approached Shade and the cub, both still quiet but alert. Then the moment came. The young cub stepped forward, sniffed the air, walked straight to the youngest council member and brushed gently against her hand. Gasps filled the air, but no screams followed, only Akira stepped forward and addressed them all. For too long we have called things monsters without trying to understand them. For too long we have sent weapons where we should have sent questions. This creature does not ask for power or planets or war. It asks only for space to live and for the right to be more than a fear in our files. The elder looked around at the jungle, at the team, at the beast, then finally back at the others behind him. He raised his voice so all could hear. Let this day be marked. Let this world be remembered. Let this bond be the first of many. Eli smiled softly. Shade lowered her head gently and allowed the elder to place a hand on her crown, a gesture that sealed something old into something new. That night fires burned for light. Not war voices rose for stories, not orders, and laughter filled the dark with something rare, hope. The council camped under trees. Kara walked beside Eli as they checked Shade's resting spot. The cub curled beside its mother, safe under stars, not watched by drones, not hunted by orders. Will they honor this? Eli asked. Some will, Kara answered. Some may resist. But this is the start, not the end. What comes next? We speak, we show. We walk together across planets that need this truth more than ever. And Hershey will lead in her own way, not with words, not with ships, but with presence. A living message stronger than reports. The wind passed through the trees, carrying the sound of peace across leaves, across branches, across roots. Deep into soil that once soaked with fear, morning came with color, soft orange and gold, breaking through the trees and lighting up the clearing where creatures and council stood together again, not with tension, not with battle, but with curiosity. Eli watched as Shade rose, stretched her limbs, checked her cub, then walked slowly to the center of the group. She made no sound. Yet every being turned toward her. She looked at each of them one by one, then lifted her head toward the sky. A single note left her mouth low and long. Not a roar, not a growl, a tone that carried across the trees like an ancient song. It reached the ridge, it reached the rivers, it reached even the edges of the listening camp, and they all understood, not with language, but with feeling. This world was no longer wild with only danger. It was wild with meaning, with depth, with new rules, written not by fear but by choice. Kara looked at the council one more time and spoke one final truth. Found something here, not a threat, not a trophy, but a partner. And so the records changed. The files were written. The Varnuk became more than a myth, more than a warning. It became the start of something better. The Interstellar Council declared Zalos 3 protected not as a danger zone but as a sanctuary. Ely was named ambassador of coexistence, not by rank but by respect. Shade returned to the deeper jungle, but not to hide, only to live with her cub, free and known. And the story of a human and a creature once called monster spread across systems, across stations, across stars. The end.